Minister, could you outline to the House the current status of the tendering process for the National Broadband Plan, when you expect the tender to be signed, or a tender to be signed, when you expect construction to begin, and when you expect the project to be completed?
I welcome the opportunity to update the House on the status of the National Broadband Plan and the progress of that initiative towards its goal of ensuring high-speed broadband to all premises in Ireland, regardless of location. The Deputy will be aware that the NBP has both a commercial element and a state intervention element. This commercial element has been hugely successful, encouraging significant investment by the telecom sector. Commercial operators have invested over €2.75 billion in upgrading and modernising their networks over the past 5 years. In 2012, less than 700,000, or 30% of 2.3 million Irish premises, had access to high-speed broadband. When this government came to office, this had risen to 52%. Today, 74% of premises can access high-speed broadband. Under a commitment agreement signed with my department in April 2017, Éire is in the process of passing 300,000 predominantly rural homes with high-speed broadband. According to data for Q3 of 2018 submitted by Éire to my department, the company has passed almost 210,000 premises nationwide as part of its ongoing deployment. With regard to the state intervention element of the NBP, my department is now in the final stages of a procurement process to engage a company which will build, maintain and operate the state intervention network. My department has received a final tender submission from the bidder, which is tendering for this contract. This submission is under assessment by my officials. It is my priority that the procurement process be brought to a fair and impartial conclusion as quickly as possible. In the coming weeks, I will be bringing a recommendation to Government regarding the remaining bidders' submission.
Much, Minister, and there is somewhat of a recurring theme to the response that you have issued, and it's a theme that has preceded your arrival in the office, an effort by the Government to take credit for the work that's being done by the private contractors in terms of the overall rollout of broadband. The facts remain that the Government committed back in 2012 to roll out high-speed broadband to areas that weren't commercially viable. People made decisions in relation to that, and there has been little or no progress since. It is the case that a final tender was submitted in September. However, back when you negotiated the current programme for Government, the projected date for the signing of that contract was June 2017. We're no closer to it now than we were then. So, Minister, what we need from Government is a clear timeline to completion of your work. The Smith report, which I have some issues with, but it's completed. I cannot understand, nor most people can't, the necessity of this ongoing discussions within your department. You know what's required. It's been ongoing for a very considerable period of time. What we now need is action, and we need timelines so that we bring some certainty to the people who have waited far too long for this really important service. The work that you agreed under an arrangement with Éire to roll out to 300,000 homes throughout the country has infuriated as many people as it has resolved issues for them. Because if you're the next house beyond which Éire committed to doing, you won't get broadband, and there's no sign of it happening. So, Minister, it has created almost as many problems as it has attempted to solve.
Very clearly, we are a lot further on. I mean, a detailed final bid has been submitted in September, and that is a comprehensive bid to deliver a broadband plan. Now, the Deputy asks, why are my officials and I taking so much time to evaluate this? I think he himself the other evening raised questions about it, as did numerous other deputies, around issues such as the robustness of the technology, the deployment strategy, the contract terms, the governance of the project, the terms for connection. You heard them yourself. Numerous issues were there were legitimate issues, and I think it's absolutely right that we tease these out and be satisfied that if I'm in a position to bring a recommendation to Government, it will be based on having teased out the very issues that deputies here are raising with me, and that's why time is being taken for this. You complained that the Government is taking credit for commercial operators deciding to carve out part of the original 750,000. But that is under the terms of state aid. Once you enter into the provision of providing state support to a project like this, there has to be an opportunity for others to come in, and this has triggered the arrival of others with 300,000. So that is the facts of the situation.
We have to observe the clock and make some progress. Deputy Dooley, 1 minute.
Yeah, thanks very much, Minister. I have raised very serious concerns about the capacity of the remaining bidder to deliver. I've been raising those for the past year and a half, and sadly it seems that has only come to dawn on the government in the last number of weeks, that those serious issues are there. Perhaps with your arrival in office, that they're being taken more seriously. I've raised these issues, and others in this House have raised them for at least a year and a half, since the main contractors that had the capacity to deliver this, that were identified in the KPMG report before this process ever started, pulled out. And what I cannot understand is the continued delay of the government in reaching a decision. Surely the information is there, and if tough decisions have to be taken, Minister, then you'll find support on this side of the House. But let's make them and then move on.
Final response.
I'm sure anyone would have preferred that the 5 bidders who originally entered stayed right to the end. But as you know, the 5 bidders originally entered, they reduced to 3, and in turn they reduced to 1. But that was the basis of any procurement process. But naturally, having just 1 bidder left required far greater due process by the state to ensure that the state is getting that the state's interest is protected in this, and that's why there has been this level of work to evaluate both technically, financially, the risk and the benefits have had to be examined very carefully. And I don't think anyone would forgive me for short-circuiting that work. I think it's really important that when I go to government with a recommendation, it's based on a thorough evaluation, and that's clearly what I'm attempting to achieve.